What we do at fathers.com is raise the banner of responsible fathering and then equip dads all along the spectrum, ethnically, diversely, and really across the world. We've been around 30 years. We're the biggest out there. And what we do as a charity is help organizations, people, groups that have dads. And, just off the top, there are roughly 75 million dads in America. And what they need is ideas, tips, and helps. And so we have a warehouse of YouTube videos, uh, materials, resources, ebooks. One little research piece is fathering during the pandemic. How did that impact fathering if you had, a small child or like a teenager and all of a sudden no schools and you're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? And so there are needs all across the spectrum as it relates to that. Now, as a researcher, I'm a social sciences a scientist. I've written 13 books on it, but the real core is get this down to practical level. And I was on a video yesterday with a young guy with two boys. Okay, and it's really interesting. This is a common problem, and I'll talk to you how deep this what I would call father imprint, and in this case, father wound, is across America. So we're cutting a video about how to, establish your identity as a person in business, and I tell you, a father has a huge role to play if he fulfills there. Well, that didn't happen with this guy in his mid 30s. Why? His mom and dad broke up. Here he was, 9 years old, and he's wondering, why hasn't my dad come around? And when dads go through divorces, it's a deep emotional time. It's a loss for everybody, but I understand that stuff happens. Well, many dads just kind of drop out, and this dad did. And he said, it wasn't till I started having kids, he has a 6-year-old and 3-year-old son, that I started dealing with all this father wound and void and didn't know what to do. And it's like, oh my gosh, I need help. So he got on. And one of the ways that we help dads is through small group materials. For instance, like this ebook on fathering during the pandemic, it hits one of the characteristics of strong family and a strong families. And strong family knows how to resolve issues during crisis. So I've got small group material for dads, plus some research that help them kind of think about this seriously. And when you show up as a dad and do the things that only you can do, because I mean, we need a dad as much as we need a mom. What you're doing is endowing your children, your posterity, or even let's say fatherless kids, because I mean, they're everywhere. We've got about 25 million kids who don't live with their dad physically in the home. And so that creates another space. It may be a niece or a nephew. So this is really an opportunity to equip men with tools and resources. So if you go to fathers.com and click, you'll see we have everything from teaching dad the I cans of fathering. Let me just run through those real quick. And this is stuff we use in schools, online, all over. In fact, Malaysia I was on last week, and this is where SuperDoge. I just want a little commercial for SuperDoge. The fact that you are assuming some social responsibility is incredible. Why? Because everybody looks to America. So here I am on a conference call with leaders from Malaysia, Hong Kong, um, Indonesia, and so forth. And I mean, we had the spectrum from secular to Muslim to Christian to the whole 9 yards. And they say, we're asking, what does a dad need to do early on to make a difference? Now, you may think this is second nature, and in some sense it is. But I said the I cans of fathering are the best way to summarize what I know, having written and researched this for 35 years. and it's involvement. Your time is so important. And for any guys that are on that are dads right now, let me just tell you, blink and it's gone. It's hard to redeem time when you've kind of deferred to other stuff, hobbies, activities, even work. And we have kids in the home, that's a prime time. So your involvement, that's the I in ICANNs. The second is consistency. Dads are like reference points. You're charting the world, and you need some reference points, whether it's satellites in the sky or a mountain or a river. And you, in your consistency in your behavior, activities, and so forth, provide that reference point. The A is awareness, and this is where you got to team up with the mothers of your children, whether you're living with them or not, teachers, coaches, scout leaders, or whatever your kids are involved in. And the awareness is learning your kids' personality, their giftedness, their learning style. We have tools that will help you kind of unpack that on the website and classes. And then the last, the ICANN, is nurturance. I rarely meet a child that says, my dad just tells me he loves me too much. Now, I know he does by all the things he gives and how he sweats and works hard, but the nurturance is the healthy physical and verbal affirmation that you're their dad and that they are you have the opportunity and blessing of having a child. And so we take the ICANN's curriculum, and spin it all over and put different covers on it to help anybody anywhere. Right now, we have been doing a lot of work in Poland. In the US, we have about 85,000 who get our weekly email. And you can sign up right now and get a feel for what we're doing. And it's my sense that we need an awakening, a familial awakening, or dads are stepping up and stepping in like no era before. It's interesting. In the 50s, when you had a child, you went to the hospital and they separated the moms and dads. And this is no joke. In a hospital, because I've done demographic studies, you'd actually be able to smoke cigars in the waiting room while your child is born. Can you believe that? And celebrate. And that's all good. But now, if you're a part of what I call the eighth wonder of the world, that is, the connection with that child. Even if you adopt that child, celebrating their entrance into your home, or you're fostering a kid, man, we are big proponents because there's such a big need there. That is a way to build what I call the fathering passion that will sustain you. And here's the truth. Reciprocity is big. If you engage your heart and your life in your children, you will extend your life. You'll adopt less risky behaviors, not that you won't skydive or do something fun, but you will think and ponder, man, I got a role responsibility. This is why I work so hard. This is why, I'm doing this and that. So that's just kind of an overview, and I'd be glad to take questions and give you more specifics about what we do, Keith.
That's awesome, Ken. Thank you very, very much for that. I'm going to open it up for a few questions if the community has any here. So I'll ask one. It's kind of the same question I like to ask pretty much every charity. What got you personally into this, Ken? Like, what was your personal catalyst to start this and be part of this to help people?
Well, I'm a researcher just by training. I have a PhD in research, and this is what really moved me, Keith. I started looking at what's out there to help parents. Hello, 90% of it was guided toward mothers. Now, I know mothers carry children, nurse children, and do things, but there was very little literature on what does a dad who wants to be a stellar or an effective dad? I wrote a book called The 7 Secrets of Effective Fathers. What's he do? What's he look like? So I jumped in and did the research. And during that time, I was having children too. So, I'm in the crucible, I'm telling you. We grew together. I walked through life with my kids. They're all, having kids themselves now. So I've been with this a long time. And the passion has grown. And this is where I really got touched. In the urban core of America, in the inner cities, fatherlessness reigns. In fact, more kids are growing up in homes without a dad than have a dad. And that's where you see the highest poverty, the highest crime, the highest children born to teenage moms. I mean, this father wound in women is big. So then I got yanked into a lot of testimony. I was on the National Commission on Children in the 90s in DC, and we pushed out, some legislation that, fathers, when it comes to divorce, should have, equal rights, which wasn't the case. 90% of those child custody issues in the 90s, went to the mom. And so it's an education that was needed. Then, where we're focused is how do we help dads? If we help them get a taste of that what I call fatherhood superpower, they're caught for life. And so that's kind of my own interest in pilgrimage.
Well, and that kind of resonates with me, Ken. I'm lucky enough to have found a lady that she has two awesome kids. Um, and the one father has been in a different province. From the start, there hasn't been a lot of financial support on that end, just out of the ability to pay. But my girlfriend has always made sure that from day one, and her daughter's 16, that the father has been involved emotionally and in any way possible, and really made it easy for him to have that bond and relationship built with his daughter, even though he wasn't able to financially help support her. And then I also, the other young guy, he lost his father just a year and a half or 2 years, 2 years ago now,
Oh,
sorry. And I've known my girl for probably about 12 years now, but we've only been together for just kind of over a year. And it was pretty cool. On Father's Day, I got a card saying thanks for doing dad things with me, and it kind of really struck a chord when you say, like, you need a father for those reference points in life and stuff like that. And I'm happy to be part of that for these kids' lives. And I'm really happy to see that there's no disingenuous or vindictive or any kind of bad part of the relationship with the one kid's father, and it's all support from both sides, and you can really see how that affects positively with the children. And at the end of the day, I have so many friends and people that I've had in my life where I've seen the opposite, where the mother or the father are using that child basically as a bargaining chip, and it's really unfortunate, and it's something that to me just doesn't help anybody. It just really, and at the end of the day, it really puts it in a tough spot. So being able you're what you're doing and how you're kind of supporting on that, and it does resonate with me absolutely.
yeah, well, kudos to the woman that you are nurturing her son, especially the one who lost his dad. So, the deal that I think Keith is bringing to the forefront, men are father figures, like it or not. Young bears look at big bears to see how to regulate behavior, how to do fishing and hunting. Now, it's not just restricted to the animal kingdom. It really is important to have a father figure, a male figure. And you don't go in and say, hey, I'm going to be your dad. It's something that just flows. And to the extent that you can be a peacemaker and build a bond, it'll distinguish you. And I guarantee when you're toward the last half of your life. You're thinking, how have I invested? How have I made this world a better place? You will not be disappointed if you've been engaged in children as they go through the life process, and that's a deal maker that we need to see more of.
That's it is. And that's the one thing too, is I really love to see the little guy's eyes light up. Anytime like we went camping and gold mining and fishing or things like that in the last few months, we just kind of try to get out and do different things. And what I really like to do is kind of bring up, you know what, your father probably seen you catch that fish or get that gold, or maybe he helped you or something. And like he's like, yeah, he lights up, and the excitement in his eyes, even hear that, it's great. And I don't understand why a lot of relationships turn so sour that people can't see how important that kind of is for kids. I do got a question here too, Ken, from Dan Grills. He said, "Thank you very much for your work. I'm really happy that you're here today. I'm a father first time since January. Do you speak to fathers by yourself?" Second question, normally fathers won't come by their own, or come out by their own, because they don't know that they are doing something wrong. How do you come in contact with them? Like, how do you find
Yeah,
those fathers?
yeah, several ways. First of all, I do a lot of convening in community centers across the country and world. We do a train the trainer to help our organizations and answer the question, is my organization, my nonprofit, or my school father friendly? If they are, they're inviting and putting pictures and images of dads being involved. For instance, one of our big programs in the United States is Watchdogs. It's an acronym for Dads of Great Students. And this is where, Dan, I use peer pressure. In other words, we're in 5,000 schools, public schools, charter schools, private schools. And the Watchdogs program, a dad signs up, he gets a shirt with a watchdog on it, and he welcomes the kids when they come on campus. He is in the lunchroom. He is taking messages from the principal's office to teachers. He's on the playground. And for so many, that image of having a dad, and these are all volunteers, what we can be able to do is leverage in a way that just isn't restricted to a single project. And so we have about 250,000 these watchdog dads that are doing that. And when other dads see dads involved at the school, it spurs them on. Now, the new father is so important. There's a lot of materials. We've got a whole series on our website. What are the essentials of being that caretaker at the early age? Because if you have what I call that magical experience of being a participant or alongside the birth of a child, it will endure, the ups and downs as you watch that child go through life, because that attachment is steadfast and it's there. And I have found marketing to women. There isn't very many women who don't want their children to have a dad who loves them, cares for them, protects them, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I understand there's some bad dads out there, and interestingly, typically bad dads have had bad dads, and you got this vicious cycle. But by and large, 99% of women, if there is a dad who is trying to do good and is, healthy and responsible, not abusive, abrasive, all that stuff, they let them, have access, and hopefully the dad is in the home. So there's just a few thoughts, Dan, in response to your question.
If you don't have any more questions, just chime in real quick. And if not, thank you very much, Ken. That was very informative. And again, Ken's part of the community. So if you have any questions, throw it in the chat. Tag me if you don't get a response, and we'll get those questions answered for you.
Amen.
Much appreciated, Ken, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. You too.
Thanks, Ken. It's so wonderful to have you join us on this adventure.
You got it. I'm with you.